Hello. You don't know who I am, which is absolutely fine. My name's Nigel Derbyshire, and I am a poet and an author. So I have 2 published books, and this is a film about stuff surrounding the creative process of writing poetry, writing stuff, the tools I use, just bits and bobs like that. I have no idea how this will go. Let's just see how we get on. So here we are. This is a what do we call these? Do we call these podcasts? Do we call these video casts? Do we call them vlogs? Do we call them films? That's a very good question. Now, one thing I should say is that I'm actually filming this at the traditional and, shall I say, correct shutter speed of 24 frames per second. So I think we're going to call this a film because it feels more like a film than it does something that I would shoot for my camera. Of course, that does actually run me into a couple of problems because later on when I go out and about with my camera, my iPhone, my phone, I meant to say phone, didn't I? When I do go out with my phone and take a few videos, what am I going to call those? I think what we're going to do, I'll tell you what, in the comments, which is that bit down there, I think it's down there, just say whether you think this should have a particular type of name, like a vlog or a thing, or rather you just really just don't give a crap at all. And if I'm honest, that is actually probably the correct answer. Anyway, so why am I here? What am I doing? Why are you even watching this thing? That is a very good question. I can't answer why you're watching it, but I can tell you why I'm doing it. I'm doing this because I'm changing my whole life around. I'm changing from what I used to be to what I want to be, and if I'm honest, what I actually need to be. So I need to have a creative center in my life. I need to have a creative output and input. Now, the way in which I thought I was going to do that was through writing novels. And I've started several, I'm sure everyone's started some, or maybe you haven't. But starting is really quite easy. And what I found is that as I was writing, bits of poetry would just crop into my head. And I had no alternative but to write those down. And that's exactly what I did. So I published my first book, Accidental Poetry, middle of last year, towards the end of last year. And then I published my second book of poetry called Mindful Cornucopia. Particularly like that title, I have to say. Mindful Cornucopia, which was published right at the back end, December, January kind of time. And Mindful Cornucopia is really the one that I'm the most proud of to start with. The first one I kind of learnt a lot about the process and of publishing. And how that whole thing works. Mindful Cornucopia was a bit more of an art form for me, and that's actually a mixture of some, I call them articles, but I guess they are really essays if we're honest about it. Some essays. I've noticed I say quite a lot. Now, that's not actually for dramatic effect, I have to say. It's just my mind trying to catch up with itself and think of the next words. Anyway, so Mindful Cornucopia, that's actually a collection of 6 articles and 20 pieces of poetry. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why have I done that mixture? I don't know. It just made sense to do it in that particular order, and that's what I've run with. So, Mindful Cornucopia, a mixture of those things. My poetry, I should probably say, is actually a mixture of, well, it's not a mixture of anything. It's really just my perspective, and it's my interpretation of reality. So, which is probably a topic that I'll go into for another video, but it's that tiny little bit between reality over here and internal perspective of reality. Yeah, and it's looking, and it's that gap between the two. So it's kind of that. It's like It's like that long. Yeah, it's the gap between the two. That's the bit I write about. So it's the sometimes at odds view of what I think is happening versus what is actually happening, or what I think I'm seeing versus what I am actually seeing, or another way around, the perception of what I want to see versus what I'm actually seeing. And I say seeing, thinking, goes into feeling as well. So it's that kind of area. I find that edge right on the edge, I find that really, really interesting. So that's the area that I write my poetry. My poetry does not rhyme. It's, I believe, the correct term is free verse, which means, in my way, non-rhyming. Yeah. So it's free verse poetry. There's 20 of those. So perhaps this is just the starter podcast, videocast. I've got to get that word right, haven't I? Again, in the comments, what does it need to be? So this first one is really just getting the whole thing going. It's also to allow me to test my setup. So if this is a bit ropey, if you're not happy with the sound, or you're not happy with the video, then just let me know. I have to say I am shooting with a green screen behind me. Reason being, it's a tiny room. This is all I have. I don't have any giant studio at the moment. So maybe that will change later on, but at the moment that's just the way it is. So let me know in the comments what you think about the quality of the film and the quality of the sound, and we'll see where we go from there. Oh yes, remember something you need to do. You need to remember, if you like me rambling away about creative stuff in my version of reality, then remember to click I don't know what I'm doing. Click. Everyone knows what a click is, don't you? You click. I guess it's that isn't it, to click. But anyway, do the click. Do the little bell thing. There'll be some groovy animation thing that goes on that will tell you what to do. But anyway, you know what to do. And hey, you're on YouTube. You know what to do. And if you're not on YouTube and you're watching this on Facebook, then I don't know what you do. I guess if you're liking the page, it just comes up in your stream. There's a whole other video, I think, about the way in which social media determines what is appropriate for us to look at. Anyway, subscribe, follow. There'll be more interesting, I hope, stuff coming your way. And thank you very much for this very short introduction. And looking forward to connecting with you all later. Oh yes, I'm on Twitter. So if you search for Carbon Writer, then you'll find me, which is pretty cool. Twitter is more of a conversational, chatty, random junk that's whizzing around, or I'm happy, sad, indifferent, angry about. So just bear in mind that. Or you can follow me on Facebook. You search for author Nigel Derbyshire. That's me. That's great. Or if you're on the YouTube, then just, well, you're here. You're looking at this link here. You're looking at this video. So by definition, you found me. Anyway, look forward to catching up with you soon. Look forward to sharing the creative process, some of the tools I use, my approach to writing poetry, and catch up with you soon. Bye.